Guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name is Holly and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Today we are in my garage. It is a very windy day outside. You can kind of hear my garage door blowing, but it is the perfect day to do some garage work. So we have a lot of projects coming up. We have rain barrel builds where I'm building 2 of them. I'm halfway done with one of them. If you guys have been following along with that journey, video 1 and 2 are out for that. We have tomato trellises going in. We have chicken tractors that we're building, all kinds of like building projects on top of our normal, starting seeds and growing and harvesting and preserving and cooking and all the things. So what I needed was a way to organize all the stuff in the garage. So I'm in the middle of a garage reorganization project. And we actually built these shelves over the last 2 evenings. I want to take you back and show you that process. So we built these shelves. My neighbors, Beth and Mark, came over. We help each other do projects. And so they came over and helped me build these shelves. And they came out amazing. But then last night we had tornado watches and warnings. So I needed to get my car inside the garage in case there was hail. I didn't want any hail damage. So we just threw everything back on the shelves, didn't really organize or anything like that. So today the project is going to be organizing all of these into totes, making sure that everything has a label and everything is in its place. So I'm going to show you the supplies that I have, and then I'm going to take you back to how we built these shelves. I'm so glad that you're here. So I have totes of various sizes. I have labels that I'm going to be using to label the totes so we're nice and organized. And I have a pile of stuff, cardboard for upcoming planting projects that we're doing. All the stuff is just thrown on here. The old shelves just kind of set to the side. So these shelves are actually the Anna White shelves that she has the free plans for, but the basic idea is you take a stud finder, you mark all the studs on the wall, and then you go ahead and you screw boards into the wall on all the heights that you want your shelves to be. Then you go back and you attach a second board right on top of them with 2 screws lightly. Then you take the vertical boards that are going to be like the legs and you attach those. And then once you unscrew the board that was holding the second board to the first board, you have the entire like exterior wall and it's perfectly matched up and level. Then you take short pieces, however deep you want your shelves to be, and you go ahead and you use a Craig jig, which is the thing that makes the screws go in sideways. So you cut all the short pieces the depth that you want your shelves to be. So in my case it was going to be 20 inches. And so you cut all those short pieces and then use a Craig jig to make the little pockets for the screws to go in so that they can attach directly to the board and there's not going to be splitting and the screws are going to be hidden. So the first night we kind of took our time and we were, visiting. We're not in a rush to do this. We're just visiting and having a good time. We got basically the framework up and then the exterior framework as well. And then I had a little time during the daytime, so I went ahead and I cut 26 boards that were 20 inches long. And then I opened up the Craig jig, which I had never used before, but I've seen people use them on YouTube. And I thought, well, first time for everything. So I went ahead and opened the box after some trial and error and multiple little pocket holes in some of the boards. I figured out how to use it. So then I went ahead and just made 4 little holes with the Craig jig on each of the 26 little pieces. That's just how many worked for my shelving unit. This is completely customizable. I think that's why I like these plans is they look really cool. The shelves are really sturdy. They look really finished and professional for garage shelves. And they were fairly inexpensive and easy to do. So I went ahead and I got all of the short pieces, like I said, cut. And this is me using the Craig jig, and I pre-drilled the holes with the Craig jig so that there were these little like pocket holes. And then I got all of those boards ready so that when my neighbors and friends, Beth and Mark, came over the next night, we were just able to visit again as we kind of screwed these little in-between support shelves together. So again, this is totally customizable, but this is what I needed to do to get all of the things that are in my garage on my shorter shelves up off the floor, and I wanted to use all that vertical space that I wasn't utilizing before. So my garage is 10 feet tall. And so I was able to go up pretty high with the shelves, and the things on the top shelf obviously are things that I'm not going to use regularly. But it is a good place that I can reach very easily with a 2-step step ladder. So once I figured out how to use this thing, I just kind of zipped through all of them, got them ready to go. And then once Beth and Mark came over, like I said, we were able to attach all the short pieces, and then we actually had to do the plywood as well. So we had to cut the plywood so that it would fit on these shelves. And so what I figured out was when I was at the store, I figured out that I needed the plywood cut into 24-inch sections. And then when I got home, I realized, nope, I needed them in 23-inch sections. And so we just took the table saw and went ahead and ripped 1 inch off all of the boards. And then we had to do a little bit of mathing, which never do math in public, but we had to do a little bit of mathing. And so we got them all to fit and all the shelves were built. But a couple of them we pieced together. We had enough, but we pieced it together and we got it to work. And then Mark did all the tippy top shelves and I did the lower shelves, and we went ahead and screwed them in so that they were attached and pretty secure. I don't know that that part was necessary, but we just did it for a little bit of extra security. So we got all of that done. And then the weather report was calling for tornadoes. So at that point, tornado watches. We were all safe. But at that point, we went ahead and just threw everything in the garage and out of the way so that I could back my car in. So that leads us back to present day, where we've got my car outside. It's a very windy day, and I just start moving stuff so I can get in there and get organizing. So the first thing I did was I pulled all the shelves out. I was trying to think about, how am I going to do this? Am I going to take everything off and put it directly into totes? Am I going to clear everything off and out of the way and take everything off and put it all back? So I kind of did a combination where I got the big stuff out of the way, like the table saw and the mower and the old shelves. And then I just started opening up the totes. And if everything in there was organized and fit well, I left it. And if it wasn't, then I organized it into a new tote. I actually used my lawn care stuff on one shelf, and I have, all my gardening stuff labeled and in each of these individual containers. And I love having the labels on the outside so I can see exactly what's in each and every tote. I love that. And I actually come to find out I have a lot of stuff I didn't need. Shocker, right? So I was able to have a big donate pile, a big recycling pile. I filled up an entire trash bin of things that I haven't used and will not use. And like I said, I have these shelves to give away or donate. So that was a pretty great day. So we have this thing pretty organized. I can't wait to show you guys. Here's what I've got going on. I am going to move I have 2 little freezers that are this size, and then one that's a stand-up one. So we measured out, there's enough room to move the second freezer there. So I am gonna move the second freezer there, but I have to move our water table in front of that to get it. So I wanted to show you guys this before I move the halfway done rain barrel table over. So let me show you guys what we did. So here is what it's looking like. We have got empty pots, and that tub has moving blankets in it for when I'm doing projects. That is our drip line. That is our main line for doing our drip. These are our containers that we use for winter sewing, some extra solar lights from Dollar Tree, the water barrels for our next rain barrel project. Then I have my trampoline, some chalk that Olivia uses, and then we have, in these tubs, we have just a few random things like some straw and some stuff like that I ran out of these totes, so I just used what I had. And then we have a blow-up sprinkler. We have our Christmas box. I have some wreaths sitting on top. I have 2 bins that are holding on to the projects that we're gonna be doing in the next month. Then we have all of our sprayers and our lawn care supplies. We have our silage tarps that we use to cover our garden beds, our bug netting that we use to cover our brassicas and stuff. We have our landscape edging and fabric, alfalfa pellets, which we use before we plant our sweet corn. We have our minerals like azomite and humic acids. We have sorry, this is flapping. So if you hear the flapping, the wind keeps picking that up. So we have our dust bath ingredients for the chickens. So that has some just all the dirt and the wood ash and that kind of stuff that we use. We have our green tomato garden stakes. We have a whole bunch of stuff for upcoming projects. We have our space for our second freezer. These are wood chips that are going to get spread into the chicken coop as they're bedding. We have our irrigation connectors, our irrigation drip lines, some salt de-icer, just a couple odds and ends like mower blades, fence clamps and trellis wires, our extra pots, and the trampoline springs that go with our trampoline. These are our posts for the trampoline, our umbrella for our picnic table, and of course, the table saw. So we still have a whole bunch of projects that we're going to be doing that are going to require this cardboard. And of course our gourds are drying out. That is a really good start, and that feels really good to have gotten that done and gotten everything up out of the way so that we can organize things better. Now, I still have some shelves to give away, so I will be doing that. And I also have a brooder to make out of I found one extra storage tote, and since I'm going to be getting chickens and turkeys and then some meat birds, I'm gonna get layer chickens and then turkeys and then some chicken meat birds. I need all the extra little tub brooders I can get. So I'm gonna turn that into a brooder as well. So anyway, I wanna thank you guys so much for being here with me today while I organized the garage. Special shout out to Beth and Mark, my neighbors, for helping me. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have a whole lot more building projects and organizing and gardening and chickens and seeds and growing and preserving and all the fun things to do. So I can't wait to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for the likes and the comments and the shares. Bye, my friend.